Yeah.
Hello, everybody. We're back on the Who Are You series, and I've got to say, I wanted to get this guy for quite a while. I tend to go on his podcast, and now finally I get him on the Who Are You series. Curtis Shaw, how are you, my friend?
Oh, good, my bro. It's a pleasure to come on your channel, man. You know, still somebody that I used to watch play when I was a kid, and Arsenal legend, Forest legend. So the pleasure's all mine, bro.
Nice one, Curtis. Look, I don't even want to waste any time because we've got quite a bit to cover. Do you remember your first ever game watching Arsenal?
Yeah, my first game, man. Yeah, it was 1994-95 season, actually. And if I remember right, you played in this game. We beat Chelsea 3-1 at Highbury.
Right.
He scored a couple that day, and I think you scored one as well. So that was my first time I can really remember watching them. And then a few weeks later, you played Nottingham Forest at the City Ground.
City Ground.
And I went to that game, obviously being a Nottingham boy, and I think, if I remember, it was 2-2. I think Paul Davis scored.
Yeah.
Keown scored as well. So
collector's item, that one.
Collector's item, man. So yeah, but that was my first time watching them live, anyway.
How did you feel, Curtis? You know, when you're watching the guys that you idolize, kind of thing.
You know what? It felt special, man. Like the first time at Highbury was like, it was just crazy because the atmosphere was so close to the pitch and it was like a fortress, you know. And I never believed when I was there that they could lose the game. You know what I mean? And then obviously when you came to the City Ground, I was actually sitting in the Nottingham Forest then because I couldn't get tickets.
For the away end,
I was like, oh, and then I didn't really want to celebrate, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you had to play smart. Yeah, you had to play smart.
So, but yeah, man, but it was crazy, man, and I felt a real connection to the club, and you know, I felt a real passion and affinity towards them, even at that young age, man.
Yeah, I felt the same when I was a kid. You know, my first game I went to was in 1977, and coming out of Arsenal Station. And actually just seeing all the crowd and the people and seeing black faces. I saw black faces, Curtis, which, you know, I was surprised coming from Brixton. You know, you're thinking, I'm going over to North London. You don't really know what to expect to a football game. But going there and seeing it, the connection was like instantaneous, you know, for me. Was it kind of that way for you?
So for me, it was just like, I felt like they were like me, you know what I mean? I felt like the players were like me. So I'm looking at them, like, this feels like a special club, man. It feels like I feel a real connection with them because I'll be honest with you, as a kid, my dad, funny thing is, my dad's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
But he always told me, support your hometown club, which was a little bit contradictory of him. He said, you know, so he used to take me to Nottingham Forest. Don't get me wrong, you know, it was the first team I really saw live. I remember they had like Colin Moore and that, and I did like some of the players there, but I always felt this little thing. I remember watching Arsenal on TV, and I just thought, I like the way they move, and I like the kit, and I like the players, and then when I saw them live, I just felt like that's the team I want to support.
That's my team. Yeah, that's my team.
Yeah.
So, Curtis, who was your favourite player as a boy?
Jeez, my favourite player, right? I'll be honest, my idol overall was always Brazilian Ronaldo.
Yes.
Being a striker, like, I idolised this guy. I've just never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I saw him play in a friendly against Jamaica at Leicester. He was kind of at the back end of his career then, but just the aura about him when he had the ball, it just felt like, oh my God, this guy is incredible.
Yeah.
As I say, Wrighty, in terms of Arsenal, Wrighty was the one I really connected with. Even himself, because you know, you was in the partnership with him. And I'll be honest, even like, even as a young black player growing up and seeing two black men up front for a major team like that, it kind of, I don't know, it gave me a little comfort and like, it gave me belief that
you can do it. Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? So Wrighty and players like yourself, and then Thierry as well. Thierry was like, as I got older, you know, and I watched Arsenal more then,
And you
It
start
was
to
like this.
understand the game a bit more as well, don't you? Because I
Yeah, I
believe
understood it a little bit.
you were a player as well, I believe. So, you know,
Yeah, I was playing. So, I mean, watching this guy, I mean, growing up, you had so much bragging rights as an Arsenal fan. Like,
yeah,
I support Arsenal. We got Henry, we got Vieira. You know, times have changed a little bit now. But the
yes,
connection with the team, man, all them players there, man. But Righty, Henry, and Brazilian Ronaldo. Brazilian
yeah.
Ronaldo is my favourite ever
No,
footballer.
he's my favourite centre forward.
Yeah,
He's my favourite centre forward of all time, honestly.
yeah.
The things that guy could do. So, Curtis, how did you become a Gooner? Because obviously you're a Nottingham boy. Your dad's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about the connection, but actually living in Nottingham and becoming a Gooner.
Yeah. You know what? You know yourself. You lived in Nottingham. There is a big black communities in
Yeah,
Nottingham, and a lot of my friends were Arsenal fans growing up. It was very much yourself and Ian Wright, as I say, Davis and Rocastle. You know, a lot of black people supported Arsenal, and not even just black people. A lot of people in general.
in general. Yeah,
Because of the success and the way you played, there was a lot of spirit about Arsenal. So for me, it was always like, I always believe in connections, even in life. You know, do you connect with people and do you have that feeling about them? I just remember with Arsenal, you know, I always used to really feel a connection. Even when I went in the sports shops and I was looking at the shirts, I always liked the Arsenal shirt and the JVC, and I just like the way you guys used to wear it and the swag. I used to see the pictures of you and Righty in the long leather jackets, and I just felt a real bond and connection with the club. And I always felt like, you know, that I remember I used to say to my dad, like, that's the team I want to support, man. And nah, you got to support your hometown club. And I just say, all right then. But then when I was at home, I was, you know, Arsenal. And then as soon as I got old enough and I got the shirt and I went to a few games, and you know, it was only ever going to be Arsenal for me, and that's the way I believe it's got to be. You know, the team you really got that connection with. So
yeah.
that's how it sort of came
No, that's
about.
great. That's great, Curtis. Look, I know. Obviously, from that part on, you became a fan. You went to Highbury, etc. So, tell me about some of your favourite Arsenal experiences, because there's been look, there's good and bad in everything, right? I'm sure we're going to cover some of the bad parts. But tell me some of your favourite experiences, Curtis, growing up, and obviously maybe success or winning, or you know, just being an Arsenal fan in general. Tell me some of your favourite experiences.
I mean, I remember it was a bit later, but we was at the Emirates actually. This one always sticks out in my mind. And I remember I'd been to a few Arsenal games, and in these games, Henry hadn't really done much in these games that I'd been to watch. And I went to watch Arsenal against Man U at the Emirates.
Yeah.
And a couple of my friends came, but they were Man United fans. They were sitting in the Arsenal end with me. And we won this game 2-1. You remember this? And I remember Rooney put them 1-0 up, and Van Persie equalised. And I remember I was watching Henry so closely in this game, and I was thinking, he hasn't really done anything. He didn't even look that interested. Like, he wasn't moving much. And I remember Aboué and Rosicky, little 1-2. Aboué crossed it in. And I saw a little movement where he sort of attacked the front post and dropped his shoulder. And Ferdinand just went for the dummy. He went to the near post. Henry just backed off him in the top corner. Bang! Past Van der Sar. And he comes running past. And I was sitting about 5 rows behind Wenger. And I was just like, I remember just sitting there watching Henry run by like that. And I just thought, what a player this guy is. Like, he's literally done nothing for 89 minutes. And in that 5 seconds, he's won him the game. And the next day, I opened the newspaper, Henry 9 out of 10, man of the match. And I'm thinking, he didn't do anything, but that split second, the way he just done Ferdinand. And I remember thinking then, as a striker, like, it can only be 10 seconds, 5 seconds that changes your whole game.
Big
and
time.
the whole feeling around the place. And I remember coming out of the stadium and everyone was just saying Henry, Henry. And I was thinking, the movement and the intelligence, and you know, it really gave me a big boost in my own career. And that I was thinking, you have them days as a striker where it's not quite going, the defender's getting the better of you. But I just thought, because Ferdinand was kind of handling, but he hit him in that split second, and it changed the whole game. That game really stood out in my mind. Obviously, there were other great days. Getting to the Champions League final, and the Invincibles and all them Man United victories. So there were so many great moments.
Now tell me, I want to know, Curtis, this is what this is for. I want to know where, for instance, at Old Trafford, where did you go to the game? Did you watch it at home? You know, tell me. Oh, this is what I want to know. I want that experience.
Got the experience, yeah. So obviously, I remember the Sylvain Wiltord one.
Yes.
Megan Barthez. Yeah, I never went to Old Trafford for any of those two games. But I watched it on TV at home, and again, because a lot of my friends are Man United fans.
Right.
Being from further up north.
Yeah.
We were all kind of Man United or Arsenal.
Or Arsenal, yeah.
Growing up. So yeah, Wiltord's goal, and then even Champions League final was one that was the painful one, really, because Thierry Henry is one of my favourite ever players, probably my favourite ever Arsenal player. And I always remember when he got one-on-one with Victor Valdez to make it 2-0. And, you know, that was a chance that you'd put your mortgage on him scoring that.
I said goal.
Simple as that. He's one-on-one with a keeper. Henry don't miss. And he hits it straight at him, and he looked tired. And I think playing for 75 minutes with 10 men, it took it out of his legs a little bit. That game hurt so much. And then even Almunia, you know, getting beat his near post. And then Samuel Eto'o was half a yard offside. I just remember that was the first real time that I'd felt like kind of heartbreak as a fan then. Like, wow, like this hurts so much that we lost this game. You know, I honestly still believed at that time, though, we'll be in the Champions League final again within a year or two. That's what I honestly felt like. We had do you know what I mean? So
there's a lot of fans who think that way, Curtis. And there's a lot of fans who kind of, from what I've gathered and I've heard, you know, that team kind of got broken up after that. When really, all you needed to do was add a couple of pieces and then you can go and win that trophy.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I never believe, I mean, I don't even think we've been to a semi-final since. Or, you know, it's just crazy the way we went down. But I still cling on to the great moments, and you know, that's what gives you hope that the good times will come back, man. So we just got to keep hoping.
Yes, we do. So, can you tell me what the date of the 26th of May 1989 means to you, Curtis? Because maybe you were a bit too young, obviously, to realise. I don't really know whether you watched the game or whatever. But obviously now you're older. You've seen the 89 things. You know exactly what it means. What does it mean to you, mate?
I mean, it's historic. Again, yeah, I was only a baby when that happened. So in terms of watching it live, it never happened. But I watched the whole game since. I watched the full 90 minutes. Because to me, anytime, you know, anything in life, you need to know what's happened previous to know where you go. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, I want to watch old Arsenal games, and I want to know what was happening back in the day. And, you know, I've watched loads, you know, Malcolm McDonald and Kenny Sampson and all these guys. I've seen all these videos and everything. So, but 1989, I mean, it's one of them nights that you wish that you was older so you could have really experienced it live. Do you know what I mean? Because it just looked amazing. And, you know, the Michael Thomas goal and the celebrations and all you guys being involved. It's amazing, and those are the things that give you frustration with Arsenal now, because you look at that. It's not just that you guys were a good team, because you know we've had talented teams since. It's the whole what it means to you. You can see how much it means to you guys to play for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And winning like that at Anfield against a quality Liverpool team and beating them in their own backyard. I mean, that says everything about you guys and your attitude and your personality, and, you know, scoring that late in the game as well. You know, it's historic, and I've watched it time and time again. And, you know, we talk about, I did a podcast on the day of that on the 26th. And, you know, that's why I like talking to people like yourself, so I can connect with that team and what it was like to be involved. So an amazing day for the club, man.
Curtis, you know, when you watch it, do you get, every time you watch it, do you still get a feeling? Because every time I watch it, I get a feeling, the same feeling. You know, when, for instance, when Kevin Richardson takes the ball off John Barnes and passes it back to Lukic, and Lukic rolls it out to Dixon, I still get the same feeling I got when I was at the ground.
Yeah.
watching it. So obviously you weren't there, but you've seen it now. Do you still get that feeling that, because it kind of when Michael Thomas bursts through, it goes in slow motion for me. Still does.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm just watching it thinking like, wow, like, because I've been to Anfield before.
Yeah.
So you know the atmosphere at Anfield and how passionate their fans are. So I'm thinking, can you imagine what that must have meant to Arsenal fans seeing Thomas like, please, man, we're probably not going to get another clear-cut chance any later than you've got to score.
You got to, yeah.
Even the celebration, like the man does like the roly-poly, like the legs are in the air and like, it's crazy. You just don't know. The man's just rolling over like, man, he can't believe it.
I think he wanted to go and do a breaking move on his head or something, but his neck wouldn't take it. He just, oh my God, it was amazing. Really amazing. Incredible day. And you know what? It was a foundation piece for the years to come, because that proved that Arsenal as a football club could do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Curtis? And then everything started to get built on that foundation. And obviously George Graham's era come to an end, and then it was Bruce Rioch and then Wenger. But Wenger got some of that foundation to build on. Yeah. And he done unbelievable stuff with it. But we're gonna get to that. So what's your football history, Curtis? Because I know and I hear you're a bit of a baller yourself. So tell me what you, because you know what, a lot of fans talk and maybe some haven't played, but I know you talk from a position of strength. So let me know what your history is as football and stuff, please, mate.
Yeah, so obviously as a youngster, as a young lad, I was at Forest as well. Paul Hart was youth team manager.
Yeah.
I was involved there. I was there, and then at 16, didn't get a professional contract there. It was funny. It's something that stuck with me because Nick Marshall was the head of the academy, and Chris Fairclough was there. He was like the assistant, and I remember Chris saying to me like, he was like saying basically, I want to give you a chance. I'd like to push you in and give you a scholarship. But this Nick Marshall, for some reason, I remember he always said, you have too many touches on the ball for a striker. He said, we want everything here to be two-touch. They wanted you to just set and spin. They wanted like robots there.
Yeah.
And he said, you're getting the ball, you turn and run at people. We don't really want that. And I always remember thinking, it gave me confusion at the time because I thought, I don't know what this football game's about then. Like,
yeah.
So anyway, I left there at 16, which was obviously a big blow to me at that age. And I ended up signing for Kidderminster Harriers, completely out of the way and outskirts of Birmingham. But the coach had seen me play, and obviously coming from a club higher, he took me there, got a scholarship there. I ended up moving to Birmingham, which of course never easy moving out of your city at a young age.
Of course.
So I went there, but things on the pitch were going well because, maybe coming from Forest, who were like a championship club, going to Kidderminster, who were League Two, I was doing well there. I signed a one-year pro there, which was obviously great for me. But the problem I had that year, they got into a relegation battle because they were one of the smaller clubs in League Two. The manager got sacked. They brought in an experienced manager, and he kind of turned around to us straight away and says, look, we're in a dogfight. I'm not going to be bringing 17, 18-year-olds into the first team.
I want experience, yeah.
I want experience. He was bringing in, 30-odd-year-old players who he'd worked with before. So I was then released at the end of that season, which again was difficult. Again, came back to Nottingham, tails between your legs a little bit, Been released again, and how am I going to bounce back from it? Came back home, started playing semi-pro football, which was again a difficult adjustment because much more direct. They're hitting the channels. I'm playing against grown men now who are physical and kind of bully up. So that was different. And then I ended up at a team called Ilkeston Town in Nottingham, and the manager there was David Holdsworth, Dean Holdsworth's brother. You might have even played against him.
Played against him. We played against each other as kids. Them two were at Watford and I was at Arsenal, and we played against each other. They're 1 year older than me, but obviously when I was the first year, they were second years, and then in the reserves and in the first team. we played against each
Yeah.
other. So I know David, yeah, and
I know
Dean.
David. Yeah, so David was the manager, and he got the Mansfield Town job. Within a few days of him taking the job, he called me and just said, like, I want to sign you. You know, I think you need another opportunity in the game, blah, blah, blah. Managed to sort it out, and I went to Mansfield, and I was at Mansfield for a while. It was going well. I ended up moving clubs a few times. See, the problem with lower league football is there's not much stability. You don't get 3 or 4 year contracts really in League Two, you know. So it was a year, and it's very difficult. You know, I had 2 kids, and you know, having to move around the country. I went to Yeovil. I ended up living in, a long way away, and I ended up living in Bristol because I remember staying in Yeovil. I said, "Yo, there's nothing here for me."
Yeah.
So I went to Bristol up the road. Was there for a while, moved again. I went to Tamworth, so I moved back to Birmingham. They were in the conference at the time. I went to Lincoln for a little bit. So I was kind of popping around club to club. And after a while, it kind of just fizzled out for me, to be honest. Because, you know, it was some of the contracts in these leagues are very small. You know, so I knew players at Dagenham and Redbridge who were getting 300 or 400 quid a week living in London. You know, you can't survive off that, really.
No.
So as I got older, kids are getting older, I kind of said, you know what, I'm just going to play semi-pro. Because you can earn decent money in semi-pro football, whatever, and start working. You know, I started doing youth and social work, and obviously now I've got into like the YouTube scene a little bit and working with Robbie and guys like yourself. So kind of went down that route. I also played. I played for Jamaica under 20s.
Oh, really? Fantastic.
Yeah. I played 4 or 5 times. I trained with the national team at 16. Dion Burton and Ricardo Ford, Ricardo Gardner, Marlon King, all them guys. I trained with them in Jamaica as well. The unfortunate thing was, when I was playing for Jamaica and coming back to England, it wasn't really holding any weight. Clubs were kind of taking it as a bit of a joke, like, "Oh, you play international football? Who do you play for? England, Ireland?" "No, I play for Jamaica." They were like, that's not really that serious, is it?" Like, you know what I mean? It didn't really hold weight in terms of.
But they're using it as a slight against you when it really should be a benefit.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I remember at Kidderminster when I was trying to get in the first team. Obviously, when you play Championship and Premier League, they cancel the game so that because the players are on international duty. In League Two, because only 1 or 2 players are getting call-ups, the games are still going on. So
that's right.
When I'm getting the international call-up, it's actually hindering my chances at my
Someone else is in there.
Someone else is in there. My manager in a relegation battle, he don't care that I'm in Jamaica playing against Canada under 20s or something. So it was actually hindering me in the end. So I had to leave it. And then a few years ago, I actually played for Dominica because my mum's from Dominica. And they had a World Cup qualifier against Canada, and I was called up out of the blue to play.
Nice one.
So that was my final hurrah into football in that sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where we was at, man. But it was a good experience anyway, man.
But the great thing about that, and I know, look, Curtis, it is a roller coaster, football, and whether you're at the top or you're middle or the bottom, football is a roller coaster because, you know, once you get on that pitch, nobody don't want to know what's happening at home. They don't want to know. They don't know whether you're feeling good, whether you're ill, whether you're injured. You got to perform. And the great thing for you, and this is why I respect you so much, is because you've actually been on this side, the pro side. You've done it. You've been there. You've been in the trenches. You know what it's about. You've done the pre-seasons. It's a hard business, isn't it? It's a hard business.
I mean, look. I mean, you know yourself. You've got a boy who's made it professional already. I mean, my boy is in academy football at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly telling him, even at a young age. I mean, he's only 7, and I'm already saying to him, it's all about your mentality. Your mentality. You've got to be strong. You've got to understand that this takes a long time before you get there. And you've got to understand there will be good days, there will be bad days, you know, because at his age, every time he plays, he scores.
Yeah.
You know, 7 years old, they score every game. And then he had like a game where he didn't score. And he shell-shocked. I'm saying, this will happen. Don't worry, you know, as you get older, you don't score.
It's the norm. Yeah.
it's the norm. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm just trying to explain to him that, you know, even, like you said, the top and the bottom, but I still try and be proud of the fact that, you know, to get in that 1% who make it is very difficult, and to pass them lessons on are still invaluable. So, you know, that's just what I'm trying to pass on to him, and what I tell other people.
No, it's fantastic, and the great thing for you, Curtis, is you've got the experience to do that, and I'm sure it's going to make a massive difference to your boy, and any boys that you influence, because you're going to help a lot of people, and I'm sure you've helped a lot of boys throughout your life already. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still doing it as well, so you know it's the little footsteps that we take for others to follow is so important, my friend. You know, it's really important. So I'm pleased you've mentioned that.
Yeah.
Right, Curtis, what's your thoughts on the Arsene Wenger years? Because obviously these were kind of your years, weren't they?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on? Obviously, there's two sides to the Arsene Wenger years. So let's talk about the first part first.
I mean, this first part is just, you know, this brings nothing but joy and smiles to me, because growing up into this, it was like a dream as a fan, you know, as a fan, seeing that and having that bragging rights, you know, to say, I support Arsenal, look how good my team is, you know, and I'm a part of this, you know. The style of football was something I hadn't seen before, to be honest, because initially being an Arsenal fan was George Graham. We had a lot of success. But the style of football was a lot different to Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
He sort of, you know, he revolutionised English football and the style and the way he played. So that first, like, 10-year period was just unbelievable. And as I say, the only sort of black cloud over it is it disappoints me we didn't win the Champions League, because when you're that good, you should be winning a Champions League, in my opinion. And we should have won. You know, even the time when we lost to Chelsea at Highbury, and that, you know,
should have beat Chelsea. Should have beat Chelsea.
That year we could have won the tournament as well. So two big opportunities at winning it. But in terms of Wenger, the players he brought, the style of football, that first 10 years is something I've never experienced as a fan, being an Arsenal fan. So I just hope we can get back to those times. But, you know, they're memories you'll treasure forever. So the best manager I've ever seen at Arsenal during that 10-year period. But of course, you know.
No, he was. Curtis, I think Arsene Wenger, and this is no slight on anybody else, because, listen, there's been some fantastic managers. But I think it's the way he done it. Yeah. You know, he used that back four, back five with Dave Seaman, and he took the brakes off them. Nigel Winterburn, Dixon were flying up and down, Adams and both. You see them playing football.
Yeah.
You know, and what he also done, he brought in some players who people hadn't even heard of, and they became household names, being incredible footballers. Do you know what I mean? It's the way he pieced it together. Obviously, Bergkamp was there when he came in, and that everything just started to gel together, Overmars and all that. And it was like a conveyor belt. Arsenal were on this upward movement that nobody could really stop. Obviously, and then you get the great games against Manchester United and, you know, Liverpool and everybody. It was such a great time for me. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm playing against that team, and I'm thinking, boy, these boys are bad. You know what I mean? These boys can play, man.
Yeah.
But we get past the 10 years, 11 years. So, and then we come into the second half of his tenure. And obviously we leave Highbury. That great teams that you mentioned gets broken up.
Yeah.
And we move to the Emirates. We get sold that dream. We're moving to the Emirates to be able to challenge at the top table of European football. So I'll leave it for you to take it up from here, Curtis.
I mean, do you know what, Kev? A lot of people say we shouldn't have moved to the Emirates, but I believe we had to move to the Emirates because financial implications were in place. You know, Highbury, as amazing as it was only 38, 39,000. For Arsenal to compete, they needed that match day revenue that they would get from a 60,000 all-seater. I don't think the Emirates is the problem. I think it's what we've done since we've been in the Emirates. Now, Arsene Wenger got us to 2014, which is when we got Mesut Ozil. Every year he sold major players, but he managed to keep us in the top four. So even up until that point, I still forgive him for that period because I think his hands were tied to a certain extent. My problem is from 2014 onwards, the stadium was paid off. We broke our transfer record buying Mesut Ozil for 42.5 million. So clearly money was now available. What he did from there till the end of his tenure is what I struggle to deal with him as a manager and what I think tarnished his time at the club. Because for me, number one, he was failing in my opinion because there was years where, as you say before, in that first period, he was just dropping gems in the club when it was needed. We need a Vieira, we need a Henry. For years, it was obvious we needed a top striker. Olivier Giroud was decent. We paid £12 million for him. But to me, he was a £12 million striker. He isn't going to win you the title. He'll get you 10 or 15 goals a season. So, you know, we messed up the Higuain deal. We messed up the Luis Suarez deal. We were constantly linked with Benzema. You know, we couldn't even get Jamie Vardy over the line. I mean, when he rejected us, that was a real eye-opener for me. Like, I've played against Jamie Vardy, Kevin, in conference when he was at Fleetwood. He should have been jumping at the chance to play for Arsenal. You're going to complete your journey from non-league to the top.
To the Arsenal. Oh, my God.
He rejected us to sign a new deal at Leicester. No disrespect. You know what I mean? And that was an indication to me that, hang on a minute, we're slipping down the ladder here. So for me, and the fact that Wenger stayed so long, despite the fact we weren't, you know, he claims he loved the club so much. To me, a big part of loving something and someone is recognizing, you know, maybe it's time to walk away if you're hurt in the situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like Wenger should have walked a couple of years earlier with his head held high and said, I've done all I can. It's not working now. Give someone else a chance. But he stayed so long that he left us in a bad position, which is now, I still think we're having the after effect of it now. And that's my issue with Wenger.
Yeah, Curtis, you know, when Arsenal won the FA Cup, beat Chelsea in the FA Cup, could you remember the lead up to that, Arsene Wenger saying he's going to make his decision at the end of the season? Win the FA Cup, and everybody thought he's gonna say, you know, that's enough. And then he signs a new 2-year deal. Right? And I think that got on the wrong side of a lot of Arsenal fans because there were issues in the team which are still the issues now, which I think is what you're alluding to, that never got addressed under Wenger. It could have been addressed, but he never addressed them. And we still have not addressed the problems, and it's 2020 now. So I totally understand what you're saying about, you know, he kind of overstayed, not necessarily overstayed the welcome, but he went on a bit too long when it was the perfect time to just hold his hand up. Bit of success, three FA Cups in, 4 years or whatever.
4 years. Yeah.
And, you know, listen, guys, I'm out. Let me help the new man who's going to come in or whatever. That could have happened. But between him and Gazidis and all that, they cooked something up for him to get a new 2-year deal. And I was quite verbal on it. I thought it was the wrong decision. I love Arsene Wenger as a manager and as a man, but I thought he was wrong on that. I really do.
Yeah. I think Wenger's belief was, you know, I've won an FA Cup, just maybe with a bit of investment, I can go and get that league title. But, you know, people say, I remember something I heard, they said that Wenger's like an analog manager in a digital era. It's like he was in that Alex Ferguson, it was more man management kind of in those days. Whereas now you've got to be like a coach, you know, a Pep Guardiola, a Klopp. You've got to get your hands dirty on the training ground. And I feel like Wenger was in that old era and he needed to just step away from it. It would have been great, win the FA Cup. I was at that final when we beat Chelsea. It was a great day. You had the Alexis Sanchez situation with his contract. It was all turning into a bit of a mess. And I thought, just walk away now. You've won the cup. You've managed to get that against all odds. Just go. And then he stayed and it got worse. We fell out of the Champions League spots. And it's a shame because for me, Arsene Wenger should have a statue outside the Emirates. He brought one of the greatest ever eras to that football club.
Yeah.
But that last few years makes people feel a little bit uneasy about it. And that's a shame because I do believe he's a great man and a great manager, but he just, he hurt the whole era at the end a little bit.
Yeah, he's a superb man, and that you set me up lovely for this next question. So Arsene Wenger, there's a book coming out, isn't there?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to reveal, or do you think it's going to reveal anything at all? Because you quite rightly said, Curtis, he hasn't got his statue out there yet, and I'm sure he will get one. But if he reveals too much, will he get one? So what do you expect to come out of this book that you don't know?
Do you know what? Wenger's such a gentleman, right? That I don't think he'll go all in on them guys. They at the end of the day, they gave him great contracts. So he knew what he was signing up for each year. He's not going to sign a contract and they go, you know what, Arsenal, we'll give you 200 million to spend, and then they only gave him 50. So he would have known each year what he was getting himself into. So I can't imagine Wenger is going to reveal, a whole load of dirt on them guys. I think he'll probably let transfers that failed, and I read the other day that he shook hands with George Mendes to sign Falcao, and he woke up the next day and Falcao had gone to Man United. So I think there'll be a few situations, maybe the 40 million and £1 Suarez situation and these kind of things here. But I don't expect him to reveal all on them guys because I just don't think it's in his character to do that.
Yeah. What about the Van Persie incident and the Ashley Cole and all these guys? Do you reckon he'll reveal a bit of that?
Maybe a little bit, because I get the impression he's a little bit bitter about some of those situations, and I heard Van Persie on BT Sport saying that Arsenal never offered him a new contract, where I've heard Wenger many times say the club offered him numerous contracts. So I'm sure he'll address those situations because those, the way them guys left and they're sort of accusing him of lying in a sense, I think he maybe will address those situations. So it'll be a book I'll definitely be buying.
Well, exactly. I'm looking forward to hearing all this and reading it and stuff like that, Curtis. So Curtis, look, we're taking it to modern era now. And what's your thoughts on Mikel Arteta, plus player retention, player recruitment? Because this all ties in with Mikel Arteta and what's behind him now, doesn't it? In order to get Arsenal back to the success and the glory that where we believe the club should be. What's your thoughts on it?
I'll be totally honest. Mikel Arteta, at the start, I was concerned about him coming in. I have no doubt about his coaching ability. Everyone says great things about him as a coach. My worry was he's walking into such a mess at the football club. Mm-hmm. My worry was, can he cope with all of it? Can he cope with the contracts and recruitment? Will big players in Europe want to go and play for Mikel Arteta? He hasn't managed before, so can he pull a player in? I'm sure as a player, there's times where a certain manager has convinced you to join a club, and you've listened to him because he's a big manager in the game.
Yeah.
I know you played for Walt Smith and players like that, managers like that who've done big things in the game, and George Graham. So my worry was, can Arteta convince a top player to come to Arsenal? I have to say, I have been impressed with him. He's saying the right things. He's doing most of the right things. No manager is perfect. I like the way he's dealing with Mesut Ozil. I have no agenda against Mesut Ozil before anyone says, but I just think that whole situation needs ending. We've seen today that Mkhitaryan has left the club. That's good. It's 180 grand a week off the wage bill. Those situations need handling. So for me, Arteta's made a good start. there's a lot longer to go. It's going to be a long road. In terms of recruitment and retention, the retention situation, it's something I just can't get my head around. I really can't. I know it's not a simple situation to renew a contract with a big player, but surely you should have a vision in your head that, you know, it was clear after 1 year that Aubameyang's our best player. You know, he won the Golden Boot in the Premier League in a team that wasn't even that great. You've got to be sitting down with him saying, look, Pierre, we want you to extend now. We want you to extend. If there's no indication from him that he wants to extend, you might have to make a tough decision with 2 years left and say, do you know what? Let's sell him with 2 years left, get big money for him and replace him. Why are we not learning from our mistakes? We did it with Van Persie. We did it with Fabregas, Nasri, Alexis Sanchez. We're in the same situation again. We do not know whether our best player will be at the club next season or not. If you're a Thomas Partey, you're sitting there going, well, is Aubameyang going to be there or not? Because I don't want to go to a team that's getting weaker. I want to go to a team that's on the up and they're at least keeping their best players. You know, Raul and Edu and all these guys, they saying the right things, but we need to see evidence of it. You know, they let Aaron Ramsey walk out for free. We should have got 30, 40 million for him. Danny Welbeck walked 15, 20 million. Jack Wilshere walked. So there has to be a change. You know, we have to start seeing strong decisions. You know, Saka apparently is almost signed his deal. So that's one good bit of news. It sounds like Partey, you know, he's interested in coming. Let's hope they can get that over the line. But this Aubameyang situation, for me, needs to be a turning point in the football club. And I really hope they can convince him to sign a new deal, because I think it would send out a big statement if they could get him to commit.
And would you play Aubameyang on the left or through the middle?
Listen, mate.
I know where I'll play him. I'm just wondering.
If George Graham started playing you left wing, you'd be knocking on the door, wouldn't you? You know what I
No,
mean?
but listen, under George Graham, I did play left, I did play right, but it was part of a system. I knew exactly how George Graham wanted to play, which was 4-4-2. But when we played in Europe, Curtis, we played sometimes 4-3-3 or 3-5-2, but the wide men, which were me and Merce or whatever, we played wide, so I could play on the left or the right. That bit I get. But if you're the main man, striker, you're playing through the middle. He's got to play. I believe he's missing out on probably another 10 goals. Curtis, you've played striker. Don't you think so? He's missing out on another 10 goals.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Kev. It's not like, no disrespect, it's not like Laka's scoring goals left, right and centre, and Eddie's a young kid. For me, Eddie's not quite ready at the moment. So, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, you're going to burn Aubameyang out, because I watched that Man City game, for example. Aubameyang spent 90 minutes chasing Kyle Walker and Mahrez.
He's playing left back. Yeah, he's playing left back.
He's just turned 31. You want to keep, you know, the mileage in the tank. You can't be burning him out, and he doesn't look happy out there to me. You know, and you know, I'm sure if he doesn't stay at the club, that will be part of the reason why he left, because he's going to look at it and say, my goal scoring record suggests I'm one of the best number 9s in Europe. Yeah, I'm playing left wing for Arsenal. Wow, Lacazette's got 8 goals this season. Eddie Nketiah, a young boy who wasn't even starting at Leeds United. How am I not starting through the middle? So that one baffles me, and I don't like seeing him out there on the left one bit.
No, I don't either. But again, you know, this, because our squad is so unbalanced, I believe, the only player, because don't forget, Aubameyang at times used to play that role at Dortmund. He used to drift wide. But you don't start there. Start through the middle and then do it Henry. If you have to drift wide, then you drift wide and but not start there. So I that's something I don't agree with. For me, Mikel Arteta, Curtis, he's got a big job on his hands. He's got a big, and I think this summer is going to tell us everything about what Arsenal are going to be. Because will he be ruthless? Will he get rid of some of the deadwood, as you said, you know, the Ozil, Mkhitaryan's just been sorted out. Will Mesut Ozil get sorted out? You know, if he's the highest paid and he's not even playing, come to an agreement, sort him out, get him out the club.
Yeah.
Get him out the club. You know, I have no agenda on Ozil, whether he plays or he doesn't play. That's what. But I know what a dressing room needs, and the dressing room doesn't need your highest earner being under an umbrella. Do you know what I mean? Being under an umbrella, holding an umbrella. He's got to be on the pitch. He's got to be on the pitch. So if Arteta doesn't fancy him, he's got to get him out that dressing room. He has to.
You have to. Do you know what it is for me, Kev? I mean, I look at Arsenal now, and I think, you know, we're still one of the biggest clubs around.
Oh, without doubt.
But for me, we're at a point in time now where we're in danger of slipping away, because also the fact we are such a big club doesn't get you results on the pitch, you know, if your team is not performing. And like you've said before, teams lift their game for Arsenal. You know, they feel like they can get a result against Arsenal now. You know, we're at a point where we can crawl our way back if the recruitment is good enough. You know, one good summer and all of a sudden we're back in the top four, we're attracting top players and we're chasing again. But if we have another bad summer and Aubameyang leaves, then all of a sudden you're thinking, well, Newcastle are being taken over. They're going to chase after us. Everton are getting stronger. You know, a lot of fans want Ancelotti, but to me, Ancelotti's a top manager.
Yeah.
You know, Leicester above us, you know, way above us as well. You know, we can't be, you know, arrogant enough to...
Look at Wolves.
You know,
they're only going to get stronger.
Yeah, they've got loads of money to recruit, and they've got Jota and Jimenez. So, you know, we can't think that just because we're a big club, we're going to be successful, that they have to now do something. And this, for me, is the biggest worry, because I don't trust the owner of the football club. I don't believe he's got the best intentions at heart for the club. I feel this is a profit-making organisation for him, which is understandable. The owner, you want to make money, but you never hear him say anything about what is happening on the pitch. He doesn't say, you know, Arsenal fans, don't worry, we are going to challenge. We are going to go for the best players. I don't feel like he wants the best for the club on the pitch. And this is my worry. This is why Arteta being appointed worried me, because I was looking at it thinking, are they appointing him because they think he's a top manager to take us to the next level? Or are they thinking because he's never managed, he isn't the biggest of personalities, and maybe we can control him a little bit instead of an Allegri, a Mourinho. So that was my worry with that appointment. But obviously, I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I think Mikel Arteta's got his head screwed on. The great thing that about Mikel Arteta for me, Curtis, and I'd like your input on it, is that working under Pep Guardiola and seeing how it's done, seeing what type of player is recruited, seeing the demands of training, etc. We've already heard Mikel Arteta's fallen out with some players who are coasting in training. That's what I love to hear. I love to hear that. There's no coasting. You've got to train the way you play and play the way you train. That's the way it's got to be. So I love that bit about him. I love the fact that he knows Arsenal. He's played for the club. He knows what it's about. He's captained the club. Yeah. So they're massive ticks in the box for me. I just hope and pray that they can back him. I know he's not going to get £200 million to spend in one go.
No.
But as long as he's addressing one or two problems every window or every other window, Curtis, I'll be fine with it. Because I think if we realise that the team are getting stronger, I think we'll give him time. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I think he does need time. We need to be patient with him because this is such a big project. And as you say, I think because financial fair play has been relaxed this summer.
Yeah.
So what that's doing, that's asking a big question of owners now, because what you're saying is actually, do you know what? maybe we could go big in this window, and then we don't have to go big for the next 2 or 3 windows. So I'm kind of looking at it going, just go for it. Go and get Thomas Partey done. You know, that deals with a big problem in our team. You know, we need a centre back. We need a centre midfielder. The spine of the team, to me, is the problem. We've got decent players in certain other areas. So
Yeah.
if he can address those 2 areas, obviously Saliba's coming in, but he's a young boy. He's going to need experience around him. We need to be a little bit smart in the market as well. We can't go and buy 70, 80 million pound players everywhere. I want to see a hungry team on the pitch.
Yeah.
There's too many times I see Arsenal roll over, and that for me is the biggest issue. They've got talent in the team, but where's the fight and determination? Why are you not difficult to beat? You know, I want teams to be intimidated by Arsenal, and I hope Arteta, with his recruitment, signs those type of players that give us that kind of mentality again. That for me is one of the biggest things that needs to be installed in the football club, is the mentality. You know, when you was there with George Graham and those guys, I'm sure he pushed you guys on the winning mentality. We don't give up ever, you know.
Well,
and that's
Curtis, the moment you join the football club, the mentality's pushed on you as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a kid, it's pushed on you. So that's why so many of the boys come through. And if you notice at the time, or when you look back, so many youngsters who came through and made the first team. There was never a question of, you know, did they have it? We had it in abundance, because that's what you grew with. You grew up with that, making sure you had it. But obviously now things have changed. Attitudes have changed on the coaching side. But obviously now Arteta's there. That has to be addressed. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, Curtis, we're at the last question already. It's flown by.
Yeah.
So Curtis, if you had 3 things you could change about the Arsenal to make it better and improve it, what would they be?
So I'll go with realistic things, because for me, you know, I'd like a new owner, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll leave that one out. So the 3 that I'll go with, number 1 is retention, like you said. For me, look after what you've got first of all. So the good players at the club,
keep it in the building. Yeah, keep it in the building.
Yeah, I want long-term contracts. So number 1, they're there for a long time, and number 2, worst case scenario, if they do have to go, you're going to get top dollar. You know, there's no way Philip Coutinho should be going for 130 million. Yet Alexis Sanchez is going in a swap deal for Mkhitaryan. That's just not acceptable. So for me, retention is number 1. Number 2 is recruitment. And the type of players that we are signing, the mentality has to be different, and we have to start being big boys in the market again. You know, we signed Xhaka when we could have bought Kante. Those kind of decisions, we have to start making the right decisions. You've seen with Liverpool, their front 3 are 35 million pound a piece, and they're champions of England. Our front 3 are worth double that, and we're 9th in the league. So something is going wrong there.
Just to add into that, Curtis, Saka signed his new contract.
Oh, brilliant. There you go.
So your prediction is already on it. They're already on that one. That's good.
Retention first, retention.
That's right.
So recruitment, second of all. And then the third one is the mentality of the whole football club. For me, the mentality over the last few years has gone downhill. I saw a thing with Robin Van Persie, right? And he said the difference between Wenger towards the end and when he went to United with Ferguson, he said at Arsenal, they wanted to win. He said at Man United, you had to win. Now that for me is the biggest indication of everything. And we have to now be that team where we have to win. We can't accept not winning. So the mentality of the football club, like you said, from the youth team all the way up to the top, it has to be a winning mentality. And hopefully Arteta has adopted that from Pep and from Wenger, and he installs that into these players.
Well, let me just ask you this as well, Curtis, because that's a great point you make at the end. Do you think the change in attitude of the players has changed the attitude of the fan? Because coming through, and when you're winning, when you're used to winning, the actual fan was different. The mentality of the fan was different. But now that you don't see the fight, you don't see the passion as such as what you're used to. Do you think that has changed the mentality of the fan?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's taken a lot of ambition away from Arsenal fans. There's almost been an acceptance that we can't win. Even when we played Man City last week, and I spoke to Robbie after the game, and I said, I'm so disappointed with that performance. And some guys were putting in the comments, well, we can't beat Man City at Man City. And I was like, why? Crystal Palace beat them, Norwich beat them, why can't we beat them? And that, for me, is the problem, that people now think, Arsenal, they can't beat. You can't always win in football. It's not going to happen. You're not going to win all the time. There has to be a certain level that you don't fall below, even when you're not winning. So if you go to Man City and you get beat 2-1 and you fight and it's difficult for them, you can accept that as a fan. You didn't quite have the quality that you gave it. When you go there and just get beat 3-0 and roll over and we don't see any fight, that's not acceptable for me. So there has to be a bare minimum that, as a football team, you do not fall below that standard.
Well, I mean, Curtis, you've been at some of the games. I was watching some of the games where before half time the game's over. I've never experienced anything like that at Arsenal. Now, as a fan, and I'm a fan watching, I'm thinking to myself, that ain't the club I know. I don't know this club. So there's a lot of work on the nuts and bolts, tightening stuff up on the inside that needs to happen, and that happens with the squad, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you say that. I used to go to Arsenal and the game was over in the first half because we were winning.
For us, yes.
Now it's the way around, bro. You know what I mean?
I know.
I remember going to Anfield a few years ago. It was a Saturday, early kickoff. I think Brendan Rodgers was the manager.
Yeah. And Sterling played and all that. Sturridge, Sterling and Suarez.
It was, I think it was 4-0 at half time. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, do you know what? This could end up 7 or 8-0.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that can't be acceptable, because you'll watch a team like Burnley or someone like that, no disrespect, go to a team like Liverpool the week after and they're set up in the right way, and Liverpool will be struggling to break them down.
Yeah.
Arsenal just go there wide open and just get beat off the pitch. So the whole mentality, I watched that Man City documentary throughout lockdown.
Yeah.
Amazing documentary, and just watching Pep Guardiola and the things he's saying to people and trying to get in their heads. Yeah, getting in their heads, and I'm like, if he can bring some of that to Arsenal, then and they buy into him as well.
Curtis, you've been in dressing rooms. I've been in dressing rooms. It's not just the message; it's the player.
It is.
You've got to have the right players in there that are open to absorb it. You have to, and you're right, that's part of your player retention, that's part of your player recruitment. All of that is when you put that squad together, they move as one, as an army. So that's so important that they work together and have one goal. And at the end of the day, we just want Arsenal to be successful, don't we? We want it back. We want Arsenal to be winners. But Curtis, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Thank you,
speaking to you. No, it's honestly, it's been a pleasure. And let everybody know where they could get hold of your channel.
Yeah, check out my channel, man. Curtis Shaw TV. Been on there a few times now. Just got nominated Football Content Awards, Best New Content Creator. So hopefully, the awards at Tottenham. So it'd be nice for Arsenal fan to go there and walk away with a trophy.
With a trophy, that'll be good. That'll be good. Fingers crossed. And if we can vote, just let us know where we can vote, if anything.
Yeah. I'll let you know, bro.
Cheers, Curtis. Thanks, man. And listen, I will listen. There's a game tonight. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, Yeah, I fancy us to win that. Norwich at home. I hope they don't go in just thinking it's a foregone conclusion, because Norwich will be fighting. But if they turn up and they're at it, will be too good for Norwich. I think we'll
Yeah.
beat them.
I said 3-1. I've done a prediction video 3-1, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah.
We see them off. Thanks a lot, Curtis. I really appreciate your time, my friend.
No worries, brother. Take care.
Take care, boss.